The Dice Tower is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. And by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool Stuff, in stock at coolstuffinc.com. The Dice Tower, episode 599.
B is for Betwixt.
Welcome to the Dice Tower, a podcast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On today's show, Geoff has discovered how to hurt game players. Psychologically, at least. We answer some questions from the mailbag, and we practice our alliteration. Then we continue our alphabetical journey with our top 10 games that start with the letter B. I'm Eric Summerer, and here's your host, the Billy Batson of board gaming, Tom Vassell.
I don't want to be Billy Batson. Actually, I really want to be Billy Batson. I am. Does that movie come out this weekend?
Is it this weekend? It's very soon. I love Chuck. Chuck is who I call him, the actor from Chuck, who's playing the Shazam character. I really like him, and I think it's going to be a fun movie. My kids are going to enjoy that one, I think.
It's like 2 weeks, actually. I just looked it up. But yes, my kids, same reason. Everyone in my family loves Chuck.
Yes.
Or Zachary Levi, specifically. And it looks like it's a Marvel movie, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Rather than a gloomy Gus DC movie. It looks like it's fun.
Yes.
I know Aquaman was fun, too, but I'm just saying. Anyhow, Billy Batson. All right, well... Folks, thanks for joining us for episode 599 of the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vassell.
Hi there, I'm Eric Summerer.
Does 599 have any kind of significance? That's 511 I'm thinking of, right?
As in like, I know 411 is something. 511 is probably something as well.
Well, 599, I just looked this up too, because I'm just on the ball with this stuff today.
Sure.
599 is just, there's a Ferrari 599.
Ah. Okay. I don't know how that relates to what we're doing. I can't make a connection. It doesn't relate
to what we're doing at all. But folks, we're glad you're here. We're glad you've stuck around us so many years. And so a couple things. First of all, the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund auction is going on right now. Mm-hmm. And we definitely want you to check that out. It's fantastic. There's some really, really cool stuff on it.
Yeah, the generosity of publishers and individuals that throw in items in this auction, and you can donate items for this as well, or bid on things. It's a really great way to raise money for the fund, so we can help gamers in need.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Some of the stuff on here is just really unbelievably cool. I've bid on it a couple things. I think I've been outbid on everything I bid on, but
yeah,
you can put stuff up yourself, and you're like, man. Some of these publishers have put up some really good stuff, and I don't see something from the publisher that I love. Well, then email that publisher and say, hey, you should put some stuff up in the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. Also, the Dice Tower Con, tickets for that are still on sale. Dice Tower Cruise, those tickets people have been asking about are going to go on sale in a few weeks. Watch our website for more information on that.
Nice.
And then Dice Tower Retreat. That may have some tickets open at this point in time. I don't know. I know that's unfortunate because we're recording this ahead of time and registration went live a few days ago for it. But you can always go to DicetowerRetreat.com if you want to see more info on that. It is basically just getting together with us for 4 days and playing games like mad people.
Nice. Like mad people indeed.
Well, speaking of playing things recently, Eric, I see some excellent games on your games played list here.
Oh, yes.
Let's start with the heaviest one.
Let's do that. I finally got to play Underwater Cities. This is a game that just barely missed my purchase list at Essen. Their booth was made out of cardboard boxes, and I kept walking by and going, I really would like to try that one, and it was like the one game that wouldn't fit in my luggage. I really enjoyed this. So, spoiler alert, Underwater Cities is a game from Vladimir Suchy. You're building sort of a network of domes on your own little personal player board. You're making domes and then corridors, tunnels that connect those domes in various locations. You do all this through an action selection mechanism that I really like. You've got a central board that has these action spaces around the outside of it, and you have a hand of cards that are color-coded, red, green, and blue. And different sections of the board are also color-coded red, green, and blue. And so when you select one of these on your turn, you get to do 3 of these in a round. You say, all right, I'm going to choose this green action space, and you will get to do the thing that is listed on the board. But if you also play, because you have to show a card at the same time, if you play a green card, you also get to do what's on the card. But if you don't make a match for whatever reason, you don't have that proper thing, and you just really want to make that connection, you just get to do what's on the board. But the whole idea is just sort of getting the synergy of making your cards work for you and matching them up with the action spaces and getting the timing right for what you want to do while other people are also jockeying for positions on that board. There are some cards that take action right away. There are some that sit out. They are action cards, A cards, that then need to be triggered on a future action space. You have to choose one of these spaces to activate one of these cards, and they can only be activated once per round, but then you can also take actions to reset them or play cards to reset them. There are cards that are later scoring at the end of the game. There's a lot of moving pieces here. As you build your network, you get bonuses for building. You're collecting all sorts of resources and managing them and paying for cards and it's a lot of stuff. But I like it. It's crunchy. And a lot of people compare this to Terraforming Mars. It pushes a lot of the same buttons in that sort of building up your engine and getting the card synergies and stuff. I think I like this better than Terraforming. It feels a little smoother. I don't know. I mean, I've played Terraforming more than I've played Underwater Cities. I've only played the once, but I guess some of that could be new and different and, look at all these new buttons to press. But I kind of like the way this one works, and I might enjoy this more than Terraforming Mars. I'm not sure. Still, both are great games, and Underwater Cities is definitely a lot of fun. Thumbs up for me.
Terraforming Mars is a much weird. I feel like I would have said smoother flow to me. Huh. I like Underwater Cities, but it's definitely a crunchier style game. I tried to pick 3 games that start with B, but I only had 2 for recent times.
Nice.
So I'm going to start with a game called Blossoms, which is a really, really pretty game. I really like the I don't know if you've seen the artwork for this one. I think this was at Essen, maybe. It just shows a girl in the front holding some flowers, and it's just a bunch of flowers, and you're planting these flowers in flower pots, making them grow. And so on your turn, you can do as many actions as you want. You can draw a card and put it in one of the pots that's the same flower type. Or you can cut down one whole group of flowers to score points. But you got to be really careful if you have bad luck, which means if you draw a flower that can't fit into a flower pot, there's only so many flower pots out there, then you get nothing. So it's a kind of a push your luck style game. But it's a 2-player one. And I really enjoy it. The best way I can say this game makes me feel is a little like Tokaido, because it's like peaceful. The flowers are kind of a peaceful thing. There's a little bit of that whole push your luck. And you got some special abilities that you can use over the course of the game. There's a few of them. But it's really simple. Like, this feels like a Cosmos 2-player game. And I like how it looks. I like how as you put the flowers on, the plant gets taller and taller and taller. You can count cards, but a couple cards are removed from the deck, so you're never quite sure which flowers are in the set. How big do you want to let a set of flowers get before you collect it? It's a lot of fun. I don't know if you can get it in America. It's from Rebel. Rebel's the company who made that house game. What's that one called?
Dream Home.
Dream Home, yes. So I don't remember who picked Dream Home up in America. I want to say it was Asmodee.
Yeah, well, I think Asmodee actually acquired Rebel PL, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. So maybe we will see this come to America. I don't know. But it's a neat little game. It's a pretty game, and it's an easygoing game. So that's Blossoms. Also, a special TV episode show.
Next up for me is Fleet the Dice Game. I had the opportunity to go to ConCon, my local convention, this past weekend, and ran into Brant Sanderson from the Portal Gaming podcast, a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and he was very excited to show me Fleet the Dice Game.
I don't believe I've ever met him where he wasn't excited.
It's true. He is always he's a good board gaming evangelist right there. In
That's
Fleet
right.
the Dice Game, it's of course based on Fleet. This is a game by Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback from Eagle Griffin Games. And it's a roll and write that uses 2 sheets. So you actually have to take two sheets and put them together to form one big tableau. It's a super deluxe roll and write game. There's 2 sets of dice. One that are like ship dice, and then one that's harbor dice. And there's multiple phases to a turn. You play, I think, 9 or 10 rounds of the whole thing. I think it's 10. It's 10. It's an even number. And you roll the fish dice first, and the boat dice. And they all relate to different suits, different types of fish. And as you, so the mechanic is you roll the dice, and then you have a little draft. You each get to choose one die, and then there's one die left in the middle, and that everyone gets. So everybody gets to trigger that particular thing. And the boat dice at the beginning all correspond to a different type of fish boat. And every time you mark off a box, you mark them like top down in these columns. And every time you do that, you get closer to, say, building another boat for crab or swordfish or shrimp, or maybe getting a fish license, which will give you some sort of power. And sometimes it just says you get a boat at this point, and sometimes it says you may choose a boat or a license, and you get to sort of develop your empire in the direction that you want. And sometimes a new license is a better idea, and sometimes you just want to have more space for fish. Every other round you get to go fishing, so every ship you have, and they're little illustrated ships on your board, and you check them off as you acquire them, and then every time you go fishing, every boat you have gets a fish. Those are worth points at the end of the game. Also, filling up your boats can trigger abilities and all sorts of cool stuff. You get income each round, then you roll the harbor dice, and that lets you build buildings and trigger other cool harbor actions. Go to the market, and the more fish you have, the more money you get at this point. You can your money track as you get income and trigger these abilities. That can also fill in more spaces on your board, hit wild spaces. It actually, and Brant made this point, feels a little bit like Ganchon Clever, where you're triggering wild actions, and this action triggers this action, and this triggers this, and I get to fill in 3 boxes right now, and so there's a lot of cascading. It feels really cool. It is on the complex side. This is not a bring this out with grandma when you only have 20 minutes to play sort of roll and write. This is a much more heavy planning experience. I think it took about an hour at least, if not a little bit more with rules. But it was a very satisfying experience. My chief complaints are the same ones that many have brought up with this game, and that's some graphic design issues. There's a symbol for income, and there's a symbol for just simply get a coin, and they're the same symbol. So you really just need to know that same coin symbol in this column means income that you're going to increase, and that same coin symbol over here means you just get a coin. There's also a couple of actions that trigger. There's something that says every time you go fishing, you get to do something. But there's another space that lets you go fishing sort of out of turn, take an extra fishing action. Oh, and that won't trigger that when you go fishing, do this thing. Action. And they could have explained that a little bit better. But still, that's something that you can easily absorb and figure out. Once you've played once, you know what's going on. And it's a pretty satisfying experience. So I might be looking for a copy of Fleet the Dice Game.
There's so many versions of Fleet now, I'm super confused. Well, let's talk about a game called Bloxx, Bloxx, which seriously breaks Eric's things to get out of his face if you've watched our top, or if you listened to it, actually, an episode or so ago.
Yep.
Because this is a...
So, it's exploding dice?
No. I thought you don't like exploding dice?
No. Does the cover have exploding dice on it?
Oh, it just has a picture of dice flying around.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, well, but what are they supposed to put on these covers?
I don't know. How about a bunch of ships?
It has a bunch of dice. It has 2 dice flying in this one, and it has some Tetris shapes. So I guess it's slightly different.
Yeah, that's better. Tetris shapes are exciting.
Well, this game is a roll and write game, and it's Tetris, the roll and write game. You have 2 dice, you roll them, they show you 2 Tetris shapes. You pick one and draw it on your sheet, and everyone else can pick either shape, except each shape has a circle in it in one of the squares, and if that circle's a number, you'll get points for that number at the end of the game. But if you pick the same shape as the person who rolled the dice, you don't get to circle that number. So there's a little bit of decision making there, and you're also trying to how to fit the shapes in, and you're trying to fill up rows first. It's okay. It's by Klaus Jürgen Reid, who did Carcassonne. It's an okay roll and write, but honestly, at this point in time, we are so inundated with roll and write games that I believe a roll and write game has to be special to stand out. I don't have time to play 30 different ones. And this one is fine. It's okay, but there's so many other better ones out there. It's very straightforward. I also wish the sheets changed. Like, the numbers are in the same spots on every sheet. And so, anyway, it Bloxx. It's basically Tetris roll and write. That's all I have to say about that.
So last one for me is Wildlands. This is a game... Wildlands! Not Wild Stallions,
Hey.
Wildlands.
Oh, I do like Wild Stallions.
Wildlands is a game by Martin Wallace. It's published by Osprey Games. And I played this at the end of last year and was a little lukewarm on it and sort of waited to talk about it because I wanted to play it again. And Osprey released a bunch of expansions, not only 2 new factions for the game, but also an expansion map that I brought to the table at Dice Tower Con, packed the whole thing up and brought it over and really enjoyed it, sort of increased my enjoyment a good bit. Wildlands is a little bit of a skirmish game and also a little bit of a game of tag. The board is made up of...
Tag?
Yeah, well...
No, it's not tag. What are you talking about?
Kind of. So you've got all these numbered spaces, and I think there's like 42 in the board, and they're represented by numbered cards. These are distributed. Everybody gets 10 each at the beginning of the game, and you have 5 little miniature characters, really gorgeous minis. The production on this game is pretty darn solid. They all come with a nice pre-wash, so you don't have to paint them. They all look like they're shadowed, and some of these are quite intricate minis. Anyway, you've got a bunch of characters, you've got a faction, and you will assign 5 of these numbers to be the hiding spots of these 5 characters, and then you pass the remaining 5 cards to your neighbor. And that will be where their 5 gems go on the board. Your object is to score 5 points, and you do that either by knocking out one of your opponents, that's worth a point, or by claiming one of the gems, which means you travel to that space and you play 3 of a kind of a particular symbol in order to claim that gem. The mechanism of the game is that you have these cards, many of which have symbols on them that represent the different characters in your faction. So if I play a card that has the Owl Guy's faction or Owl Guy's symbol on it, I can move him. I can always use it to move him. Or I could do the action that is associated with him next to his symbol. So it could be an attack, it could be a defense, it could be extra movement. It could be rallying troops and moving around. So I can move my teammate and me at the same time. It's very tactical, trying to do an attack on an opponent when you know that you might get the killing blow and therefore the point, or sneaking over to your space and where your crystal is and having the cards that will allow you to claim that crystal and score a point that way. But you start out hidden on the board, and you know where your neighbor's crystals are going to go. So you can set up little ambushes waiting for them to come close to their crystal, and then you can jump out. You can even interrupt using some card play and appear from the shadows. And it is quick, for sure. Games run pretty quickly and has a good pace to it. I liked it. I liked it even more when you add in these extra factions, which can be played as player factions. There's an Unquiet Dead, there's a zombie faction, and then there's an adventuring party, which is basically like your standard role-playing game group that have 6 and 4 characters respectively, so the rules shift a little bit for them. You can also use these as NPC characters that mess with stuff on the board. I also liked the new map. There's a wizard's tower that has sort of a king of the hill aspect. There's one space where you can see every other space from the middle. So I had an archer that I snuck up there and was just, taking pot shots at everybody. It's neat, and I like exploring the different factions, and I certainly enjoyed my second play of it more than the first. So Wildlands, I think, is going to stick around, and I want to get it to the table more.
Or maybe you wait for the new Judge Dredd version.
I don't care about Judge Dredd. I like these.
Oh. Yeah, I like it too. I don't know if I like it's a little, what's the word for it? It's a little generic fantasy, right? So I'm not like a huge Judge Dredd fan. By the way, the game is called Judge Dredd Helter Skelter. But it says it's a Wildlands game. So
okay.
People are going to be running with this game. I want to know if you can mix them.
Oh.
I'm a rogue. I'm a thief. I am the law. Oh, no. The mage is attacking Judge Dredd. Probably not. All right. The next game I want to talk about is such a unique game that I haven't heard many people talking about this one. First Contact. Have you heard of this one, Eric?
No, I have not.
Actually, it's not the only game on Board Game Geek called First Contact, but it's the one that came out in 2018. So the company who made it, Cosmodrome Games, is mostly known for their extremely hot game, Smartphone.
Ah, yes.
Everybody's talking about Smartphone. Well, here's the thing. First Contact is like a gamer version of Codenames. So the way this works is there are some alien players and there are human players. There's going to be one alien winner and one human winner. The alien players have a language that is unknown to the humans. And so this is given to them. They draw a random card and they have little squiggles that represent different words like heavy, light, wet, human. Basically adjectives.
Okay.
25 random cards from a big deck are placed in a grid in the middle of the table, 5 by 5. So it looks very similar to Codenames. These have words/pictures on them. So they're things that you would find in ancient Egypt. I guess that's where the aliens landed. We all know that from watching Stargate, of course.
Of course.
And so the aliens need certain objects to win the game. And they're in color on a little card, just like Codenames, that you put there. And so you secretly have this behind a shield. The alien players are looking at it. I might be the red player, so I need the red cards. You're the green player, you need the green cards. We need to get 3 of them. So each round of the game, the human players, in turn order, they'll pick 1 to 5 cards, and they'll turn them sideways and say, okay, I'm picking these 3 cards. So I'll pick a sarcophagus, a mummy, and a priest. And then as the alien, I'm trying to think what word they're talking about. Because they have these tablets, too, like with all these different adjectives. Like, I think they mean this word. So I will show them the symbol for that word.
Okay.
All the humans see me do this, and they write that down, what they think the word means. And then each human does that. Then each alien tries to get the humans to guess one of theirs by writing several symbols out that describe what that word is. They show this to everybody. These symbols may be symbols they've already given to the humans, or they might even include symbols the humans haven't seen yet. But whatever, it might help you out in the future. The humans then all mark a little spot on the grid of matching the word they think it is. They reveal it. If correct, the humans get it. And if correct, hooray, the alien got someone to get one of the things that they need. And you just keep doing this. The first alien to get 3 correct, that gets 3 of theirs wins. And then when that happens, whichever human has guessed the most correct things wins.
Okay.
It's really thinky.
Huh.
Because you're trying to figure out common characteristics amongst the cards that are turned. You're trying to not make these characteristics super obvious to your fellow humans. because you want to get more information than them. So there's some really weird stuff going on in there, and it kind of simulates this whole, we're trying to communicate with each other, but we don't know each other's language.
Huh.
I mean, there was just a movie about that, right?
Oh, God.
Arrival.
Yeah, that's it.
So on Arrival, they're trying to communicate with these aliens, but they don't know the aliens' language. And they don't know how to communicate with them. But that's kind of like this is, although this one is a lot easier than that movie was, I think, to learn how to communicate. And I found it really fascinating. Now, I don't know that it's going to be a big mega hit, right? Because it's more thinky and slightly fiddlier than, say, Codenames.
Yeah, I'm not sure I totally understand how it goes.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. Watch my video. But I really like, I mean, because, so, like, one of the words is round. So when I was playing a game, one player tapped the cards that were showing shackles and coins. And I was like, oh, well, both of those are round. So I showed him the symbol for round. Actually, he meant metal.
Ah!
And so we had a bit of miscommunication there, but one of the other human players also thought I was thinking round, so they got the right symbol. And then later on, when I was trying to get them to give me hippopotamus, one of my symbols I showed was round. I also showed them the symbol for huge, a huge round, and I also showed them the symbol for the word living. I hadn't shown them the symbol for huge or living yet, so they only knew the word round. So they're trying to guess it from those. Probably not, but later on, they might say, okay, I've seen that symbol before. What does it mean? It's really neat. So this is First Contact from Cosmodrome Games. This is a company that came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
They have this First Contact game, which is, I mean, I'm going to push it. I don't know how many people are talking about it. Smartphone did really well. And they got another game that I haven't played yet called Tremble Humans, which I want to play just because of the name. I think the name is hilarious.
Yeah, I'd like to give this one a whirl. It sounds fun.
Alrighty, well, that's enough talking about games. Let's jump over to Geoff.
Talking about one of the worst things you can do to a player.
3, 2, 1, go.
It's time for Game Tech with Geoff Engelstein, where we find out how games really work.
One of the earliest computer role-playing games was Wizardry for the Apple II computer. Wizardry established many of the concepts that carry over to today. It was the first computer RPG with a first-person perspective, the first that allowed the player to control a party of characters, and the first to establish a turn-based system of combat that survives to this day in games like Darkest Dungeon. There was, however, one feature of Wizardry which did not survive. Now, like pretty much every RPG, Wizardry borrowed liberally from Dungeons & Dragons, and one of those borrowed concepts was that of experience points and character levels. Now, as monsters are defeated, characters earned XP, and when enough XP are accumulated, characters advance to the next level, gaining better abilities, spells, and health. Now, many monsters in Wizardry had special abilities, breath weapons that attack multiple characters at once, poison that made characters lose health with each step they took, even a ninja who had insta-kill. One hit could completely kill your character. But even more feared were the few monsters that had level drain. If these creatures hit one of your characters, in addition to normal damage, there was a chance that you could lose a level of experience and all the bonuses you had gained. If you were unlucky enough, a single character could actually go down multiple levels in one battle. Now, this type of loss did not sit well with players. In one sense, it was frustrating simply because of the lost time. Now, you could get back to where you were before. You just needed to invest the time. Of more concern was the loss of spells and abilities. You had gained new toys, and now the game was taking them away from you. This is a huge negative for player psychology. Now, I last played Wizardry in 1984, and I can personally attest that the psychological blow of losing character levels still, to this day, sends a shiver down my spine. Now, level draining as a game mechanic started in the original Dungeons & Dragons. In D&D, many undead creatures like wraiths and wights had level drain as an ability. And the history of D&D shows a gradual lessening of the severity of level drain. In Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the first mass-market version of the game, level drain was included as an undead ability and could not be saved against. In other words, if a character suffered level drain, they lost a level and that was it. But the next version, 3rd edition, in it, level drain was modified by allowing players to make a saving roll to prevent a level loss, but if the roll failed, the level was permanently lost. In 4th and subsequent editions, level drain was completely removed. The undead creatures that used to have it now put effects on characters like weaken and immobilize, which could be cured through normal means within the game. The Pathfinder role-playing game, which was intended to be a direct send of D&D 3.5, included almost all the mechanisms at that version, yet even Pathfinder left out and completely eliminated level drain as a mechanism. To get some idea of the player discussions around level drain, here's what one poster had to say. Quote, "There is little you can do in D&D to viscerally terrify players, but for whatever reason, level draining does it." Unquote. Another post highlights the emotional aspects. Quote, "Many players would rather die than lose 50% of their XP. Maybe that is more emotional than sensible reaction, but many players feel that way." Unquote. As does this one. Quote, "What I've always liked about level drain is just how personal that loss can be, as if part of the character's life truly was just ripped away forever, lessening them for it." Unquote. Now, the psychological aspect of level drain is clear in these comments. There is an emotional response from the players, and it's not coming from a purely rational place. There's something deeper here than simply the lost time. As the final quote noted, it's as if part of the character's life was just ripped away. The anguish from losing a level far outweighs the excitement of gaining one. And game designers have learned this lesson, and this type of loss is, for the most part, scrupulously avoided. The standard now is that once an ability or a level is gained, it is never lost. It may be superseded, improved, or upgraded, or negative effects may be applied to it, but it's not taken away from the player. So designers out there, take note. Consider your player psychology before giving stuff and taking away from them. This is Geoff Engelstein with Game Tech.
I hate losing levels.
I know. I think it's because you've achieved something. Like when you go up a level, it's like a little celebration, and you get to play with all your new stats and abilities, and you've gained this thing, and it's an achievement, and then to have that like erased is very weird. It's a step back. I don't know.
It's like shoots and ladders. I only like the ladders.
Yes. It is like chutes and ladders. You've lost all that progress, all that wasted time. I despise it. I'm glad that game manufacturers are pulling back from that effect. It's worse than lose a turn. If I had known about losing a level, I might have put it in my top 5 from a couple episodes ago.
But this is very similar to what you said. I said it too, the change of the game state.
Yes. This is a change in the game state. Yes, we'll fold it in.
Yeah, but we'll include that. I mean, I really hate that. It's like, oh, well, you were doing well. Now you're not doing well anymore. But, shut up.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let's go to hopefully some happier questions.
Tom.
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 Hi, Tom.
How many meeples tall are you?
How many game pieces have you broken with that gavel you use?
If you could eat at a restaurant based on any game, what would it be?
And now, the Dice Tower will authoritatively, definitely, possibly, maybe, answer your questions.
Tom, which way to the game library?
Stefan has a couple of questions. The first one is, what makes a good game review? There's lots of different elements to a review, like components, rules, flow of play, comparison to similar games, art. What would a perfect game review look like?
Is this an entrapment? Because I feel like it is.
I mean, I guess in your opinion, the way you structure reviews would be the way you'd want reviews to be, right?
Well, I guess. I guess for me, let's be more generic than that. I want to know, A, how the game plays, and B, did you like it? That's all I care, you know. You just communicate those two things to me. I guess why you liked it and didn't like it, right? But other than that, if you want to just do skits in your videos, if you don't want to show yourself at all and just show, you know, the game pieces moving around, I mean, all that's the secondary. I have likes and dislikes, but I think if you convey to people basically the general gist of the game and whether you liked it or not, that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I like. I don't like to get too mired in the minutia of the rule set. Tell me how the game works, generally how things operate, and any specifics that stand out. But I don't want to go with, okay, you have 5 phases on a turn. Don't teach me the entire game. I want to know generally, quickly how it goes. And again, if something stands out, make a mention of it. If the art design is particularly interesting, if graphic design stands out as a plus or a minus, I want to know about it. But if it doesn't really make an impression, keep going. I don't need to focus on it if it's not going to be interesting to talk about. Secondly, he says, I'm always looking out for bargains or secondhand games, and he sees that a lot of people sell games with tags like in shrink, or only opened to check content, or only punched but never played. Don't get me wrong, he loves to get a nearly new game for a cheaper price, and he has his own pile of opportunity. But he's wondering why so many people buy a game and never play it, leaving it in shrink and then sell it. Sometimes you can make a profit, especially with some of the Kickstarter games, but often I see them for a reasonable price. What do you think? Is there an addiction problem? Is it the thrill of just owning the game, seeing it on the shelf in shiny condition?
Well, also, people get a game somehow, and then they play it before they open the copy.
That is very true. Yeah,
and
if you get the game and then you play a friend's copy.
No, I don't like this game. That's probably
resale value is important. Yeah, I think certainly if I knew that I could play a friend's copy soon, I might very well leave my copy wrapped on the shelf, because then if I don't like it, I could give it as a gift to someone. I could just get rid of it in some other way without opening up. And something that's new and shrink is going to fetch a better price than not. I am fascinated by the lengths that people will go to keep a game in as close to as new condition as possible. Have you seen anybody that like slits the shrink wrap on a game box and then tapes it so that it has like a shield? It's basically a sleeve for their game box.
Well, I think someone was like this at Dice Eye Retreat. I can't remember, but I remember saying to the person, this is literally the same thing as putting covers on your couch. They protect it, but at what cost?
I don't want to begrudge it too much, because obviously they're trying to keep their stuff as like new as possible. It's basically the same thing as sleeving your cards. You're protecting your investment, your entertainment investment. But for me, it seems more trouble than it's worth. I almost every one of my games has dings and dents and scratches and stuff. It's a well-loved game by the time it leaves my collection. That's just the way it's going to be.
What Eric's saying is he never gets rid of games.
That's what my wife would say, yes.
No, I say it too. All right, so Thad says, logging plays. I'm assuming this question is for Eric, because I don't log my plays. Do you tend to log games play with younger children? Is there a level of complexity at which you start logging plays? He says, I currently do not log any plays with my daughter, but was curious if you do. And he never considers some very, very, very light games. Second question is code names that tend to be played back to back. If one really short round is a full game, do you log every gameplay from that session?
Okay. Well, the second question is pretty easy. I will tend to I will log each instance of the game. From beginning to completion, when there is a winner, that is one play of the game.
Wait a minute. So if you play like Spyfall 10 times in a row, you just say, I played 10 games of Spyfall?
Yeah, I often do. I don't usually play 10 in a row, but if I played 4 or 5, yeah, I would do that. And then as far as the kids' games go, my use for logging plays is often so that I can go back and see what I have played in a recent period of time. So I will still log the games I play with the kids. The only time that I don't is when it's a game that I know I never want to talk about. So if Candyland hits the table, I'm not going to log Candyland. But if it's like a hobby game that I'd like to look back and say, oh yeah, I played that and it might be worth discussing. Yeah, I'm going to play it, or I'm going to log the play, whether I played it with kids or adults or whoever. So I don't think there's quite the threshold of complexity that is talking about here. I like to just keep it as a tool to know what I've played lately.
Also, I don't log my plays if I didn't said that before. Although I am logging plays of Zombie Kids Evolution because you have to. This is a new legacy game for kids, Eric. You may consider this, actually.
All right.
It's from Yellow Games. And the games take like 10 minutes to play. And then you log it. And every 4 or 5 games, you get to open another envelope and see what happens, right? So far, I believe I've played it 28 times.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know. I'm so tired of it. But... The kids really like it and they're having a good time. I think I'm going to finish this legacy one, probably at the rate we're going.
Okay. Daniel has recently purchased Cosmic Encounter and would like to introduce it to the college and career group at my church, he says. There are 11 people locally in the group right now. How would you suggest I introduce it to them? Should I buy the expansions that up the player count, keep it like it is, buy one expansion, or do something different? I would like for all of them to be able to play at once. Also, from best to worst, how would you rate all of the Cosmic Encounter expansions?
Okay, so no pressure there, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that... I would be cautious to say... Well, first of all, you're not going to get 11 people in the game anyway.
Yeah, what is the maximum? It's what, 8?
It's 8 if you're insane.
And if you got all of the expansions that up the player count.
Yeah, man. Let me do the ranking of the expansions. We got Cosmic Dominion, Cosmic Incursion, Cosmic Conflict, Cosmic Storm, then Cosmic Alliance, maybe? Now, one of these I like less than the others, and I can't remember which one it is. It's probably Cosmic... Well, there's also Cosmic Eons. Maybe Eons is... I don't remember. I know Dominion's my favorite. And that Incursion is my second favorite. I do know that. Anyhow, get together with 5 of them and play the game. Of course, you'll need the expansion for that. The base game only has 5. But if you get one of the first 3 expansions... which is Incursion, Conflict, and Alliance, they add an extra color. So you can play with 6 players. I don't know. I like the game a lot. It's one of my favorite games, but I would be very cautious to tell you what to buy in any particular order, especially to buy anything. You want to get the game first, if anything.
Yeah. If you had the full complement of expansions, are there enough components to split it up into 2 tables?
No. Definitely
no, you'd
not.
need a full set of... You need a second base copy of the game in order to do 2 tables.
Yeah, I don't know. Pick 4 people there you like and just invite them to your house and play it.
I think I would agree. I think you want the smaller group here. I don't think you can get all 11 or even all 8 to play at once and have an enjoyable experience. I think you want to split this up. If you could get 2 copies, then you could always have 2 tables going at once, and then I don't know, take the winners and put them on a single table, something like that.
Well. Maybe our forums are a good answer for that. Check out our forums or our Facebook forums. Meanwhile, Paul says, I had a question in light of your recent Top 10 countdown. So when my wife and I decided to give the board game hobby a try, we walked into a game shop, and the first game they saw was Azul. It just was pure luck that they ran into this. So they love
because they have
strategy.
they're sorted alphabetically in the store.
That's probably not true. It's probably they're just pushing Azul. It's a very popular game.
Sure.
So they're playing lots of games today, including their last purchase, Axio, which is a newish abstract strategy game, which is based on an old abstract strategy game from Reiner Knizia. But Axio is a pretty fun game. Anyhow, so they got it because they bought it based on my recommendation. They don't remember me being a huge abstract player, so they checked it out. Easy impulse buy. And they're surprised that it was on neither one of our lists as A. And they also want to know if I prefer Axio to Azul, which, yes, I do. We only had room for 10 games. There's so many good games. Here's the thing. I like Azul a lot. I think it's fun. I like the new version a little bit better than the first version. But I like Azul a lot. But it's not a game I want to play all the time. That's just me. I mean, I love lots of great games. So, and this is something that we run into all the time. People say, "But that wasn't in your top 10." And I'm like, "Well, sure, but I still really liked it."
Yeah. I think the last time we discussed Azul, I said I didn't own a copy, but I do now. My son won it in the like door prize raffle at ConCon. And he had one of the first choices, and he went straight for Azul and grabbed it, and so that's the game he came home with. So we now have a copy, and we can play it. My son had signed up to play it at the con. So I think some more table time for Azul is in our near future, but that's why it didn't make my list, is I just hadn't played it very much.
What about Axio? Do you like Axio better than Azul?
I don't think I've played Axio.
Well, have you played its predecessor, Ingenious?
Oh, then yes. Do I like it better than Azul?
Axio is better than Ingenious, by the way.
Is it? I still think I probably like Azul better. I do like Ingenious a lot. But Azul has a little bit more flavor to it. Ingenious shows its age, but Axio maybe doesn't show its age as much. Mike was talking about our end of 2018 roundup, and we mentioned that it was a good year for gaming, but Mike begs to differ. Even though there were some fun games that came out in 2018, like Rising Sun, Root, Coimbra, but compared to recent years, 2018 was definitely down more than a bit, Mike says. There were no games at all in the BGG Top 10, the Board Game Geek Top 10 from 2018, and only one in the Top 50. For comparison, there are 2 2017 games in the Top 10 and 8 in the Top 50. So, Mike asserts, if 2018 still counts as a good year, what would it take for you to say that some future year was a bad year for gaming? Or are they all good years from here on out?
First of all, I don't think we should be using the Board Game Geek rankings to determine if a year is good or not. It just means the people at Board Game Geek liked it more. As a side note on that, we played a game today on our, we're recording this on a Thursday. We did a live board game breakfast, and Z played a game where we had to guess how many copies of a game had sold or were marked as owned on Board Game Geek.
Okay.
And so the top of the list was Pandemic. But when I was guessing Ticket to Ride, I guessed that more Ticket to Rides have sold than Pandemic. And you know why I guessed that? Because it's true. And yet,
okay,
it's not on that list. And in fact, according to Board Game Geek, there is 1 copy of Blood Rage sold for every 2 copies of Ticket to Ride. Well, guess what? That's not true either. Millions of Ticket to Ride games have sold. Blood Rage is not in the millions. Or in the hundreds.
But Ticket to Ride, not all Ticket to Ride players are on Board Game Geek, is what you're saying.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Not everyone is on Board Game Geek, just very hardcore gamers. So I'm not defending 2018 versus 2017. I don't know. we can't really compare these things until several years down the road. Not to mention 2018 rankings don't normally go up till halfway through 2019 anyway, because people haven't played all the games like Underwater Cities, etc.
Also true. And I mean, when we say good, bad year, that's much more of a gut feeling on our part. For me, were there several games that really stood out as being exciting, different, interesting for me? And that was the case with 2018. So yeah, it was a great year.
And how many games do you need to have a, for it to be a great year or a good year of gaming? I mean, if
5.
I only have, is it 5? I mean, what if it's 1? I mean, Architects of the West Kingdom, Space Base, Reckoners, Western Legends, Lords of Hellas, Underwater Cities, Root, Thunderstone Quest, Chronicles of Crime, Rising Sun, Cryptid, Just One, Monolith Arena, Micropolis, Azul, Stained Glass of Sintra, Selenia, that's not a good game. But anyway, Smiths of Winterforge, Rise of Tribes, etc., etc., etc. So many good games. But you did ask the question, what would it take for me to say a year is a bad year of gaming if I don't like any of the games that come out that year?
Yeah, I think if I was seeing a lot of repetition, a lot of copycat style titles, and just didn't see things that excited me as often as I wanted to, yeah, I would say, I don't know if I'd ever say it was a bad year for gaming. It's always a good year for gaming. There's still things to play, but maybe one that didn't excite me as much. I could be lackluster, perhaps lukewarm on a really bad day. Tepid. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Henrique says he's been a gamer for many years and has 2 boys, ages 8 and 2, and one of their birthdays is coming around. And this got him thinking. Oh, here we go again. When playing with adults and his game enthusiastic dad, he can handle anything. That's not what it says here, but that's basically what it says. His current sweet spot is Clank. Nevertheless, says Henrique, all these games and many other titles are, in my opinion, totally inappropriate when he is tasked to teach and play along with his friends. I would argue that, I think inappropriate is the wrong word, but maybe that's the right word, but it just seems odd.
Right. Inappropriate, just that it's not at the right level, is what he's saying.
These games obviously should be short, 30-minute games, lightweight and easy to teach. So it says it's funny that when he teams up with his good friend, he does not play Heckmech or Sitting Ducks or even Machikuro, but picks Flashpoint Fire Rescue instead. I'm pretty sure they did not follow the rules properly, but they seem to have enough fun to pick it up again a few times later. This is an excellent, excellent point that Henrique is saying here. He wants to know what our thoughts are, but he's kind of said it already. The fact that, I've ranted in the past about this whole, my kid plays the biggest games ever. And I feel like people do that for a couple of reasons. One, they're desperately looking for game opponents. And two, they want to brag about their kids and how smart their kids are. Okay, but one of the excellent reasons to teach your kids and let your kids play kids' games is so that they can then play them with other kids. Case in point, I have more games than a lot of people in the world do. My kids have a plethora of games that they can play with. I can play fairly complex games with some of them. Some of my kids are smart and can grasp this stuff. But they are horrible teachers of these games. And they're also not able to keep a game flow going. So you'll find that when I'm playing a game with kids, I'm the banker. I keep track of this. I make sure the rules are followed. And I'm also the judge, jury, and executioner of law in general. Kids are not that way. Maybe you haven't been around kids, but the kids all fall over the place. Have you noticed that, Eric? When you get kids together. Case in point, do your kids ever have someone come over and sleep over at night?
We haven't done that, but we have them come over, yeah. Okay,
so when kids come over, let's say you have one kid come over. You have 2 boys, and now you have a 3rd kid. Does the noise excitement ratio in your house go up by 50%?
It does not. No, it's some sort of exponential growth.
That is correct. I have 6 girls. You would think that adding 1 girl would make it go up by a very small percentage, and yet it's 200%. I don't know what happens, but it's explosions. And so that's just the way kids are. It's fun, and they do that. But when they play games, these other kids don't play games much at all. They're sitting there, blah, 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 and they just want to yell. And Melody would get so mad. She still gets mad. She's in college. She'd be like, these people, do not know how to play anything more complicated than code names. I'm like, well, that's how that works. That's how life is going to be. You might as well get used to that. And so you need to teach your kids some kids games so when they play with other kids, there's something that they can handle.
Yes, but Henrik's note here at the end where he says that his son with his best friend pulls out Flashpoint Fire Rescue. I don't think that's a bad thing.
He said they're probably not playing the rules properly.
But that's the game that they were drawn to.
No, that's not the game they were drawn to. That's the game his kid pulled out.
Okay. But maybe playing to that inclination with just one step back. You don't necessarily need to go for the super light stuff, but maybe Castle Panic would be a good suggestion. If he's drawn to playing a co-op game, go a couple notches back in complexity, and you don't have to shoot for the fences, but you can have something with some complexity in it.
I grudgingly will accept this for now.
Okay.
But I'm just saying we need to let kids be kids.
It's true. I the last game I taught at ConCon was a Monopoly Gamer Mario Kart, and I made the mistake of allowing 6 players on the board because it probably wasn't going to make that big of a difference. It made a pretty big difference, and when you had 6 kids going nuts and getting a little silly and shooting shells at each other and all sorts of craziness. And some players just couldn't win races to save their souls, but they, had one player that just kept rolling 6s despite the fact that he wasn't paying attention and doing all these side deals. And it got very crazy. And the one other parent at the table and I were just kept giving each other side eye and trying to keep things focused and on the rails, and they kept trying to get off. It can get a little crazy when you add too many kids at once.
Alrighty, well, that's our questions for the week. It's time to be happy and believe and be kind and rewind, which kids won't understand these days.
It's a Dice Tower Top 10!
The Dice Tower's Top 10 list is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool Stuff Inc. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.
I want to sing Letter B.
Ah, yes. I love the Sesame Street parodies.
Letter B. Anywho, so today we're talking about games that start with the letter B, and people say, why are you doing such things? And to them I say, why not? But actually the real reason is because we talk about games we might not talk about otherwise.
Yeah.
Especially Eric, who has some pretty horrific games on his list, but that's okay.
It's pretty funny. As soon as Tom saw the list, he went, ugh. And I thought something had gone wrong, like he had stepped in something horrible at his house. But no, it was him looking at my list. So this should be fun.
It's not that... Actually, I don't think your list is bad. It's just like missing so many of the good games that are on my list.
Yes, and this is why we're different people, Tom.
What? All right, fine. Diversity is okay, I guess. All right. Well, anyhow, we're just going to jump right into this. There's the common theme is they start with the letter B, and we have a single crossover game. Let's get going.
Number 10.
Let's start with Brussels 1893. This is a worker placement game with a cool... It's got like a grid mechanism where different action building spaces will be available each round of the game, but it's sort of like sometimes you can have a very small grid of possible spaces and other times you can have it big and one player gets to choose where this divider line goes. It's kind of a neat system. It's a heavy game, thinky game, but an enjoyable one. Brussels 1893 is my number 10.
Yes, I like this game. I don't really care for the art, but the game itself is fine. My number 10 is a game almost no one has played, it appears, and that's Bitter Up. This is the board game version of You're Bluffing. In Bitter Up, you are trading sets of animals around, and you're going around doing different auctions, but you are often trading cards with other people, and some of those cards have zeros on, which are hilarious to offer somebody else as you try to get sets of animals to score points. It is Really fun. There's a lot of bluffing involved. Bitter Up, my number 10.
Is Bitter Up that's a title there's been other versions of this same game, right, Tom?
I believe that it is the only version of this one because you're thinking of Your Bluffing.
Ah, that's it, yeah.
Which is the card game that Bitter Up was based on. Your Bluffing had several names like Coup Handle.
Yes.
Actually, this one may have been called Coup Handle the board game. Actually, yeah, it was. So apparently. But the English title is Bitter Up.
Gotcha.
Number 9.
My number 9 gets extra credit for having 2 B's in the title. It's Burgle Brothers. This is the Tim Fowers cooperative game. You're on a heist, and it's you've got a multi-floor structure that you're trying to explore and get to the loot and avoid security systems. There's an exploration aspect to it. You've got different characters with special powers, and the art style that all of Tim Fowers' games have. It's really cool. And you could also get a multi-tiered rack to put the cards in, but not necessary. Still fun. Burgle Brothers, number 9.
Are you excited about Burgle Brothers 2?
The what now?
So my number 9 is Baseball Highlights 2045. Now, this is going to be very awkward playing this game in 2045 if there's not cyborgs and androids in the sport at that point in time. This is actually the only baseball game on this list because I didn't pick a lot of games that start with the word baseball. But Baseball Highlight 2045 is a deck builder, a 2-player deck builder. I guess you can play with more players and do some switching around. But it works really well with 2 players. It's a really fast game, and then you add some stuff to your deck. And then you play again, and you add some stuff to your deck. I really like it. I'm looking forward to the Football Highlights game, but Baseball Highlights 2045 is my number 9.
I never got past my initial demo of this, in which we only played like one round, and so I never really got the arc of the whole thing. I should really give it another whirl.
Number 8.
Number 8, you knew a Buffy game was going to show up on the list. This is the 2017 Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the board game, in which we're supposed to get an expansion, I think, this year?
So,
I think.
Just to clarify,
Fingers
this
crossed.
is the... Which one? There's so many of these.
This is the Jasco Games Buffy game.
No!
Yeah!
That's actually 2016, by the way. But...
Okay, 2016.
Wait a minute. I just mocked this today on our channel because they're coming out with an expansion for it called Friends and Frenemies.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, who cares? Because...
I care.
Not because of Buffy. That's the thing. I'm not mocking Buffy right now.
Or are you?
No, it's just that Jasco Games, I don't know that I've played any good games from them. Are you sure it's a good game?
Have you not played the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game?
I don't know why you're even asking that question.
I enjoyed this one. Yes, it's got
that's fine. I mean, I'm willing. I mean, I don't think any company can't make a good game, right? That would be foolish of me to think that. It's just that their record so far hasn't been very good.
Yes, I mean, we discussed this same issue the first time I talked about the game back in 2017.
Well, that was many 2 years ago. But I don't remember.
I mean, yes, you can't have the reputation of Jasco go against this game just because of the reputation of Jasco. It's a solid game.
No, that's a legitimate reason to have that's the whole point of a reputation, Eric.
I like it. It's got a cool cooperative feel. You are trying to beat down the monsters of the week and eventually get to the big bad. I'm excited for the expansion because it has more of the television show characters as major plot big bads. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my number 8.
How long does it take to play?
It's about an hour and a half, maybe 2.
All right. Maybe I'll try it. Probably not. My number 8 is the first of several games. I could have made a whole list of games that start with the word battle.
Probably.
I can. When I was going through picking, I could have made a top 10 battle games. Number 8 is BattleCon. This is a fighting game that incidentally has had parts of its game made by Jasco. But anyhow, BattleCon, which is originally from Level 99, But they worked with Jasco to make a Street Fighter type variant of... anyway, it doesn't matter. BattleCon is a 2-player fighting game in which you're putting 2 cards together each round and using the combination of cards to fight the other person. It comes with a huge stable of fighters, and every single fighter is very, very different than the last. They all play differently. It's a very fun game. It's a little involved, but I like it a lot. My number 8, BattleCon.
Number 7.
My number 7 is Brass, which I guess is technically Brass Lancashire at this point, because they've released the newer revised Brass Birmingham as well. But I haven't played the newer editions. I've only played the original. It's a heavy. This is about as deep as I want to get in a game, because this one I feel pretty tired after playing, but it is a satisfying experience, route building, economic game. It's tough to wrap your head around, but rewarding. Brass, my number 7.
Yeah, Brass may not make my list. I played Brass originally, and I thought it was okay, and I've kind of paled on it in the years because it feels more like work than a game. I played the new very hot Brass Birmingham, which everyone is raving about. Mm-hmm. And while I can see that they are good games, I would not ever call them bad games. They're not for me at all. Very restrictive games. I like my games to be a little bit more open. Mm-hmm. Like my number 7, which is criminally absent from Eric's list, Bunny Kingdom. Are you going to tell me you haven't played this yet?
If I don't say that I haven't played it yet, do I get bonus points? No, I haven't played it yet.
Really? You played Buffy, but not... Okay, anyway. So Bunny Kingdom is a drafting game in which you're placing bunnies on the board to form kingdoms. It is like one of my favorite drafting games, for sure. And I'm really excited about the new Rainbow Cloud, or whatever it's called, expansion that's being released for it soon. Bunny Kingdom is a lot of fun. I love this game. That's my number 7.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think I did get a demo of Bunny Kingdom. I remember holding cards and being bunny adjacent. But yeah, it just didn't make an impression. Anyway.
Number 6.
Number 6 is the original Bang. I'm going to go with the card game here, although the dice game could probably swap out with it. I love, this one got a lot of playtime with my family. It's a hidden role game. Somebody is the sheriff. You know they're the sheriff, but then the sheriff has to figure out who their deputies are, as opposed to the renegade who is trying to knock them out, and the outlaws, and you're shooting at each other and getting horses and weapons that increase your range and manipulate drinking beer to heal. It's good fun. And my family played a lot of this, so it still holds a special place at my table. The dice game is also quite good. Number 6, Bang.
I would have put Bang the dice game myself, but all right. My number 6 is actually a kid-style game, and that's Beasts of Balance. Have you seen this in action yet, Eric?
I've never seen it actually operating with the app. I've fiddled with the pieces and seen displays, but I've never played it with its full accoutrement.
I think... Well, first of all, woo-hoo-hoo. But secondly, I'm going to send this to you for your kids, I think. The Beast of Balance is such a great game. You have an iPad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Beast of Balance. It's so fantastic. It's a game in which it comes with a little scale piece, and you put these different weirdly shaped beasts on it, and then the app shows them. They appear on the app, and then you have them you're crossbreeding these really weird animals, I'm going to crossbreed this bear with this octopus, and I got a bear octopus, or whatever they call it. You're trying to get these weird breeds, but you also are trying to stack everything and not have it fall over, and you get points. They just recently released a battle pack for this, so now before it was just see how you can make it, how many points. But now you can fight someone else, and you're both trying to stack different things on there and get more points, but your animals are kind of hurting the other animals on screen a little bit. Not bloody or gory or anything, just, kind of who gets more points, but really fun. Beasts of Balance.
Huh.
I see this all the time at Apple stores.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was actually waiting to get my iPhone fixed, and I saw it sitting in the corner. I'm like, wow, that's neat. They got it in the Apple store.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Bloxx 3D, which I know as Rumus, but I'm going to put it on the B list. You just remind me, Tom, if I put this on the R, you can make fun of me. Bloxx 3D is, you've got these big chunky 3D polyomino pieces that you are placing on a central board that is on a turntable, and you are evaluating by looking above. If you look above, you will earn points at the end of the game based on how many squares you can see. But you can only build off of your pieces, so you're trying to leave your options open. And if you get totally blocked off, you might not have any more moves anymore. Also, the boards have different building requirements. There might be a pyramid or a stair-step pattern, and having to work within those height limits and still get your pieces maneuvered to where they can be seen from the top. I really enjoy it. My number 5, Bloxx 3D.
My number 5 is the next battle game, Battleground Fantasy Warfare. I don't play many miniature games. They're expensive. I don't like putting miniatures together. I don't want to paint. Battleground Fantasy Warfare does all that in a card game. Now, this game has been out of print for quite a while. They were supposed to bring it back in print and did not happen, or barely happened, or I don't know what happened there. Really great game, though. Lots of fun, and I just love having these humongous armies that I can build up from, and all I did was buy a deck of cards. The game behind it is also really fun, so Battleground Fantasy Warfare is my number 5.
Number 4.
Eric, did you put any battles on your list?
I was just going to say, this is my battle game. My number 4 is Battlestar Galactica, the hidden role sci-fi game that really embraces the feel of the television show. A lot of games have eclipsed this a little bit in recent years that do what Battlestar Galactica has done in a quicker time frame. That's the one drawback to Battlestar, is that you've got a good amount of time invested to get through these scenarios, but it produces such wonderful moments as the Cylon reveals happen, and as people get airlocked and thrown in the brig and arguing their innocence, and do you believe them or have they been misleading you the whole time, all while you're trying to survive and keep the Battlestar Galactica alive. It is a solid game and really neat, and deserves the number 4 slot on my list, Battlestar Galactica.
My number 4 is another battle game, Battle Line. An amazing game that Eric needs to play because it's better than Lost Cities, and Lost Cities is good, even though I was challenged by Cassandra at Lost Cities at Gamma, and I did tell everyone that she beat me, even though I said I was going to destroy her, and so I have to say that now. But Battle Line, fantastic game. I'm doing a lot of asides in this show, I think.
Yes, that's fine, as long as you get back.
It's a Reiner Knizia game in which you are putting 3 cards on different sides of numbers throughout this board, and you're trying to win 5 goals or 3 that are next to each other. And so you're making 3 numbers, and you just have to have better 3 numbers than your opponent. So if I have 5, 6, 7 of purple of the same color, that's better than your 5, 6, 7 of different colors. But if I have 3 8s, that's even better than that. No, the 5, 6, 7 of the same color is better than that. Either there's a card to help you. And you're trying to put these cards down and outsmart the other person and put the better combinations, but watching what cards are still existing that can be played. So my number 4, Battle Line.
I agree. It deserves a place on your list, and it might make my list when I consider it in the S slot with Schottentotten.
It's called Battle Line. Come on now.
Number 3.
My number 3 is our one crossover. It will be on Tom's list very soon, which makes me angry.
My number 3 is one of the most fun party games ever designed, and that's Balderdash. I used to say Beyond Balderdash, but they've merged the games, and it's just Balderdash now. In fact, because of playing this game, I use the word Balderdash all the time when talking to Eric about his choices. But Balderdash is a super fun game in which everyone makes up fake words. So it's been remade, like, what does this word mean? Some people play it as dictionary. Mm-hmm. And dictionary you can play without buying Balderdash, but you can't buy the fake laws, or the obscure laws, or the B movies and stuff. Oh, it's so fun. This game makes me laugh harder than almost any other game in existence. Balderdash.
Yeah, Balderdash certainly made my short list. It probably is 11 or 12 if I had to give it a number. We've discussed this before, I think, that I am more familiar with some of the other similar games that are also sort of bluffing, coming up with a creative definition for words and stuff. I just haven't played the Balderdash version as often as Tom has.
Number 2.
Number 2 is a quirky little game about bean farming from Uwe Rosenberg. It's Bonanza. In fact, this hit the table at this last past weekend at ConCon. My son pulled it out of the library when we were looking to stall. He was waiting for something to start, and we pulled this as a filler. It's a game about bean farming where you're not allowed to change the order of the cards in your hand, so you have to do a lot of trading and wheeling and dealing to get the cards out of your hand and get cards into your fields that you want to use and want to plant. I've learned that playing this game with children is like a roller coaster experience because logic in the deals they make does not always apply. And so you end up with a lot of free beans or them asking for free beans or making very strange deals. It's very different to play it with them, but still, it makes an impression. My number 2, Bonanza.
It's interesting to think. I still think it's weird when I think about Bonanza. That's like the Uwe Rosenberg game.
Yeah.
And until Agricola came around.
Yes.
All right, my number 2. We're still in the battle kick here. Battle Lore 2nd Edition, also known as Battle Lore Best Edition. So great, and I'm still gonna make the call that they are eventually going to release another version of this. Maybe in Star Wars. I'm not sure. It's going to happen at some point. This is such a great game. Battle Lore 2nd Edition. I really love it. It's like a miniatures game, but it's on a board, so you don't have to measure anything. You get to have all these cool monsters and fight each other. I really like it a lot. So, Battle Lore 2nd Edition, my number 2.
And finally, number 1.
So my number 1 is probably the unpopular choice on the list. But if I look at all of the games that made my shortlist, all of the Bs, this is the one that ranks the highest for me. And it's Bus. The classic Splotter title that is extremely crunchy. It's deceptively complex. It's a pick up and deliver game in which you're trying to get passengers to where they want to go, to work or at home or the bar, based on what time of day it is. And it is one of the earliest action selection games. You have 20 action cubes, and that's it for the entire game. You have to spend 2 on a turn, but you can spend more. And it's extremely punishing because you can spend those action cubes for little to no benefit if you're not careful. So a careful placement, playing that sequence of action resolution. It's a deep game with a tough learning curve, but one I appreciate. That's Bus, my number 1 B game.
Bus is in my top 500 B games. My number 1 game, which was Eric's number 3 game, is Blood Rage. Come on, this was obvious. Blood Rage is a fun super game that has held up over the test of time. Great miniatures. I will say, Eric, I'm surprised this one's so high on your own list. Why is that?
It's the core. It's the mechanisms of this whole thing. I don't really care for the theme, but I like the resource management, managing your rage level to pay for all the actions you want to do in a particular round. The card drafting. I think this creature will really work well with my strategy, or drafting the battle card so that you can do the things you want to do. The surprise aspect of somebody springing an action card in a battle that you didn't expect and changing the dynamics of the battle. It's a neat game, and it has a lot of really cool stuff going for it. So yeah, I mean, although I have other games that I put above it, it's one I really appreciate and enjoy.
Lots of fun. Do you like the drafting, you said?
I mean, that's not my favorite aspect. I like trying to puzzle it out with the drafting. I like more of the resource management. How do I pay for the cards I want to use this turn?
Well, let's see what the people's choice is for their top B games. I wonder if Bus will make the list. Number 10 is Brass Birmingham. That will probably move up as time goes by. Number 9, Biblios. That's a fun little game. Number 8, Bloku.
Or Bloxx. The 2D version.
Or Blokus. Most people play the 2D version, Eric.
Yeah, sure.
Number 7, Bruges, which did not make either of our lists, actually. It was in my top 20. I like Bruges a lot.
Yeah, I was never impressed with Bruges.
Oh!
Whatever.
You Stefan Feld hater? I'm the
No,
Feld
I just don't like
defender
Bruges.
today. Yes! Number 6, Bonanza.
Woohoo!
Number 5, Barron Park. Number 4, Betrayal at House on the Hill. This game gets so much love, really. I'm
does.
curious if Betrayal Legacy will show up on this list the next time we do Bs in 10 years. Number 3, Battlestar Galactica. Number 2, Bang the Dice Game. And number 1, Blood Rage.
Uh-huh.
People agreed with both of us. Eric's list was not actually that bad. I was just kidding earlier. But I am surprised at how different our lists were.
Sure. I think we had more crossover in the A list, didn't we?
Probably. There's going to be some letters where we might have to say 10 games.
Sure.
I'm still waiting until we get to X to see if Eric can even get 10 games.
We will try. I guess XCOM is going to be on there, even though I didn't enjoy that. We'll find out.
Maybe we'll combine letters as we go by. We'll see. It's a long time before we get to a hard letter. I think
Yes.
J will be the first difficult letter. Maybe K, actually. But anywho, that's it. We're done. That's the end of the show. Yoo-hoo. Folks, we
Yoo-hoo.
appreciate, as always, you listening to our show. We appreciate each and every one of you for backing us on our Kickstarter. By the way, our backer kit closes this Friday. But we appreciate, you guys listening to us. We were so glad to see so many of you at Dice Tower West. That was a super fun time. And just as we see you at different conventions and you say hi to us, that means a lot to us. And I just want you to know, as always, I appreciate it.
Me too.
He doesn't. Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He does publicly anyway.
Just in time.
I'm in a weird mood. I don't know what. I need to get some sleep. Well,
Good idea.
anyway, folks, I appreciate it again. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell,
I'm Eric Summerer.
and you've been listening to The Dice Tower.
Thanks for listening. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. This episode, number 599, was recorded on March 21st, 2019. Mandy and Suzanne join you next week for episode 600, and in 2 weeks, Tom and I put an end to the silliness with our top 10 serious games. Support for this podcast comes from listeners like you. Thank you for spreading the word. And speaking of support, the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund is dedicated to providing support to members of the board gaming community in their hour of need. Find out more about the fund's mission, our current fundraising auction, and how you can help at jackvassell.org. The Dice Tower is produced by Tom, Mandy, Suzanne, and Eric with production assistance from Roy Cannaday and Rob Searing. Our theme was composed by Timothy Pinkham. Our new Earl Grey flavored bubble gum provided by T-Chew. And hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at CoolStuffInc.com. We love feedback. Visit the Dice Tower Guild at BoardGameGeek.com. Email us at Dicetower@gmail.com or follow us on Facebook. And of course, you can find more from the Dice Tower Network, including the Out of Game podcast, Board Game Corner, Board Game Design Lab, the D6 Generation, the Family Gamers, Blue Peg, Pink Peg, the Portal Gaming Podcast. Every night is game night, cardboard and wine, and board game breakfast at DicetowerNetwork.com. Until next time, from all the gang at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming. All right, Tom, I've been practicing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
One breath. I'm going to do it in one breath.
Go ahead.
Big brown bear, blue bull, beautiful baboon, blowing bubbles, biking backward, bump black bugs, banana boxes, and Billy Bunny's bread basket, and Brother Bob's baseball bus, and Buster Beagle's banjo bagpipe bugle band, and that's what broke Baby Bird's balloon.
All right, my turn.
Okay.
Blinking blindly, Brainy Bob brings beautiful beer bottles beneath blue butterflies billowing brilliantly. Bob banters behind Bert's back, both bearing black, bristling beards. Bob, bellows Bert. Bounder, bugger, be gone! But Bob, bearing both broad biceps, begins breaking big brown beech branches. Boring? Banal?
But did you do it memorized?
No.
We'll call it a draw.